Some of my greatest memories have been backpacking with my children. It's actually something that I really love to do. I've been able to take all three of my children backpacking. I've taken my oldest two daughters to Half Dome, and last summer I took my son up to Yosemite, Little Yosemite Valley, and we just did some day hikes around there. It was perfect for their ages and where they're at. What I want to do in this video is I want to give you 5 tips for backpacking with your children. Now, here's the funny thing. You might be saying like, well, Neil, I don't have children. Don't turn this off. Hold up, stick with me. This could also be 5 tips for taking your friend who's never been backpacking. You could say this another way. These are 5 tips for taking a newbie backpacking. And I think that these 5 tips translate well, whether it's your kids who you've never been backpacking with, maybe you have a spouse who you want to get into backpacking, maybe you have a longtime friend and you've just been begging them to come with you. Or you actually might be on the other side of this and you might be the person that someone has been asking you for several years to go backpacking with them. So stick around for the next couple minutes and I'm going to give you some tips that are going to make your first backpacking trip more enjoyable than you thought it could be. Tip number 1, especially if you're backpacking with children, is bring candy. You're like, what? Are you serious? Yeah, no, I'm 100% serious. Bring candy. One of the things that I found with my kids, and I've done this with them when we're just doing day hikes here where we live, is that I bring candy with me. And so when I'm backpacking with my children, another thing that I do is I just put candy down in my hip belt pocket. I keep a bag of Skittles. That's usually what it is a bag of Skittles. Sometimes I take that bag of Skittles and I put it into like a Ziploc baggie so that I can be handing them Skittles while we're on the trail. Now, maybe you don't like to give your kids a ton of sugar, and I understand that. I'm not suggesting that you give your kids a ton of sugar. I'm just saying have a sweet treat so that when they're doing an incline or some switchbacks or it's hot, that you can give them a little candy, give them a little treat and a little sugar boost so that they'll continue to run around with you on the trail. The second thing that I want to encourage you to do is bring food that your kids will eat. Bring food that your best friend will eat. Bring food that that newbie will eat. I've taken people backpacking who've never been backpacking before, and they'll ask me questions like this. Hey, should I bring some chili with me? And I'll just say this, do you eat chili at home? And if they say, no, I don't. Well, I tell them this, here's the line. If you don't like it at your house, you will not like it when you're out backpacking. Just think of it that way. If you won't eat it at home, you're not gonna eat it when you're out on the trail. And so find food that you like. When I take my daughters backpacking with me, I bring instant rice. Why? Because that's what they eat at home. They love instant rice. When I take my son backpacking with me, I bring him oatmeal for breakfast, plain oatmeal. Why? Because that's what he likes to eat, and that is what he will eat. So when you're taking someone who's never been backpacking before, make sure you bring food that they like to eat. My third tip for you is keep the miles short. That's one of the things that I had to learn. I actually love to do long mile days. That's something I really enjoy. The longest day trip that I've ever done is like 23 miles with 6,000 feet elevation gain. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not gonna take my kid on that. And I'm not gonna take my best friend who's never been backpacking on that. One of the things that I've done when I've taken my kids backpacking is I've done max about 4 to 5 miles a day. And what I find with my children is 4 to 5 trail miles equals about 8 miles because they'll run around camp. And so what I find is I leave the trailhead with them, I get to where we're going, and maybe they're just exhausted. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. What have I gotten myself into? And we get that backpack off, we get the tent set up, maybe we go down to the river and play. We go find somewhere nice to sit. And pretty soon, my kids are loving that location. Why? Because they're hanging out with me. And I don't say that in a prideful way. I just say it because I enjoy hanging out with my kids, and I find that my kids enjoy hanging out with me. And so one of the things that you need to really make sure that you do is don't do long miles with someone. Do something that's easy for them, and then incrementally you can work up to their skill level. The fourth thing that I want to encourage you to do is bring something fun. Yep, you heard me right. Bring something fun. Now, what does that mean? What does that look like? Okay, let me give you a couple examples. When I brought my daughters backpacking with me, we brought a deck of cards. I actually bring a deck of cards with all my kids. And at night, when it's kind of dark and maybe there's mosquitoes or there's bugs, you just go in the tent, you turn on your lamp. I have this really cool like blow up, gosh, what is it? It's like a blow up solar powered lamp. I'll put a link down in the description for you. But I love using that with my kids in the tent at night. You just have that going and you play Go Fish and you play War and just hang out, do something fun. When I took my son to Little Yosemite Valley last summer, one of the rangers actually was pitching balls to him and we were playing baseball at the campsite. He had so much fun doing that. That was one of the things he really enjoyed. And so I would just encourage you, bring something fun. So if you're bringing your newbie who's never been backpacking and you know that they like to play Battleship, well, go on Etsy and find an ultralight Battleship play set. You can find that. Go on Etsy, you can find anything. I literally found an insert to make an Altoids container into a tackle box. So go do that and do something fun. Now, the fifth thing that I'm telling you, and I hope you stuck around for this, is because I really think that this is the most important, is you need to have the right gear. And let me explain what I mean by the right gear. You need to plan ahead and you need to be prepared. Don't give your kid a backpack that doesn't fit your child. Don't bring your friend and have them with a pack that doesn't fit. You always want to make sure that you have the right gear. Let me give you a couple examples from last summer. My son and I got into Yosemite in like the end of June, early July timeframe. And we pulled in, we parked, and we looked up and I thought, oh my gosh, it's gonna rain. And so one of the first things that we did is we set up our tent, we made sure to get the rain fly on, and sure enough, within the next 15 to 20 minutes, it was raining, but we had already gotten all of our gear into the tent and we had the right gear for the right trip. I remember when I was backpacking with my daughter and it was towards the end of September, close to October, it was starting to get colder in the Sierras. And I had this REI Magma sleeping bag that was good to 30 degrees. But what I also did is I brought a sleeping bag liner for my daughter. And I'm so glad that she had the right sleeping bag with the right liner. I think she even wore a beanie on that night. Another thing that you want to consider with having the right gear is I would encourage you to get a set of trekking poles. I have this great set of trekking poles from REI. They're a carbon fiber set. I love it. I'll put a link down in the description here. And really all of this gear that I'm talking about, you too can get at REI. The pack that I have for my kids is the REI Tarn Pack. And in just a minute, I'm gonna put a link to a video that I made for backpacking with my kids over here. And just to give you some information on this pack, it's been a great pack for my children. They've been able to carry their pack, their sleeping bag, their sleeping pad, their clothes. And then what I do is I carry everything else for them. And that's a deal that I've made with them. And it works for me. Why? Because I love going with them. I want to keep their weight low, keep them at about 10 pounds or less. Why? So that we can have fun. And then when we get on trail, I go ahead, I feed them some candy, and we've had a blast doing these backpacking trips. And so I hope that these 5 tips are helpful for you. If you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Look for more content that I'm going to be bringing about getting outdoors with you, with your friends, with your family, maybe even with your kids like I've done. And then go ahead and click this link right here to watch this video about backpacking with your kids and using the REI Tarn Backpack. And I'll put a link in the description for that backpack. And if you click that link, it'll take you straight to REI. And if you buy that pack using that link, it'll just help support this channel, which I really appreciate you doing. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great day and continue to get outdoors.